Welcome to our executive interview series at Defense Talks, presented by Defense Group. I'm Ellie Kashany, and we're here with Ellie Kashany, Director of Business Development at Seekr. Ellie, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
I'd like to start by asking, how do you see the rapidly advancing technologies and systems, such as AI and potentially quantum computing and autonomous weapons, et cetera, how do you see that reshaping the Department of Defense over the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, it's certainly never been a more dynamic time to be in government contracting, and it's really never been a better time to be a commercial company providing these technologies to the Department of War. We're seeing shifts not only in the increased prioritization of warfighting enabling technologies like AI, like quantum, autonomous weapons, but also a complete overhaul to how they acquire these technologies with the advent of the warfighting acquisition system that's really focused on speed and flexibility. And with this reshaping of how the Department of War does business, there'll definitely be a shift in the diversity and the balance of power in the defense industrial base over the next few years. We should certainly see more entrants from commercial, pure technology vendors entering the space, and then also seeing large primes expanding their investment into R&D, seeking partnerships with commercial companies, or even potentially restructuring their business model to enable operating as a commercial company while retaining their brand and sustaining the customer base that they have for many years. So with the department opening this aperture up for more competition, we should also see wider adoption of modular open systems architecture, trying to minimize vendor lock-in and making it easier to rapidly test and then integrate these new technologies as they evolve. And this flexibility is what we at Seekr are really keenly focused on. How can we offer our warfighters the broadest flexibility to build, test, scale AI-enabled solutions and capabilities, whatever their skill set, wherever their data resides, however their infrastructure and their environments are architected, and with whichever open source models or tools they want or even are required to use. And as a final thought, I'm personally looking forward to seeing where these emerging technologies overlap and how they could even be compounded to achieve even more than when in isolation. So if we're looking at quantum computing to improve the speed and accuracy of AI models, or even next generation power and energy solutions to really unleash the power of these technologies and close the compute and connectivity gaps that exist today.
And then with the increasing reliance on interconnected systems, how can the DoD or DOW ensure the resilience of critical defense infrastructure?
It's a really timely question, particularly with last week's news around the first reported AI-orchestrated cyber espionage campaign, and I guess the first documented case where we have a large-scale cyber attack that's been executed largely without human intervention. I personally am not a cyber expert, but our Seekr team does leverage their own mission backgrounds and partners with experts to identify ways in which we can bring AI into the cyber domain to monitor, defend, and respond to threats autonomously, adaptively, and in real time. So I'll personally focus in on the AI angle here. When we think about cyber protection for critical infrastructure, the physical, industrial, mission-critical systems that we rely on, sometimes for survival even, there are a couple ways in which we can think about and use AI to cultivate resilience in these systems and the way that we operate them. First, always comes back to data. How can we preempt the systemic vulnerabilities that have been introduced into these LLMs via poison data and adversarial manipulation? Commercial AI can be a black box, so how do we open that up and offer greater transparency and impart trust, especially when the stakes are as high as they are in national security? At Seekr, we're focused not only on delivering AI solutions to our customers, but also enabling the trust and verification of models that are being used by offering model test and evaluation capabilities like risk scoring, continuous safeguards, audit-ready governance, and even custom model evaluators that are used to assess model performance, detect bias, identify data poisoning, etc. And then second, visibility is what really enables resilience. How can we protect what we can't see? How do we uncover the hidden vulnerabilities and dependencies before our enemies do? If we think of an example like Golden Dome, a system of systems to be built on a backbone of IT and OT systems, networks, sensors, interceptors, devices, etc., even installations, all of which that have to be mapped and cataloged before they could even be protected. And this level of complexity and scale is where AI really excels, exploiting data to the maximum extent possible, uncovering patterns and anomalies, mapping networks and connections, surfacing these insights in time to act, all while extending human capability and bandwidth, and critically learning from each incident to be better prepared to defend against future attacks.
Well, Ellie Kashany, thank you very much for joining us and sharing some of your insights with our audience here at Defense Talks this week. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.